Welcome everybody. I hope you can hear me fine. It should be all good. Tech, I think, is irrelevant here. There's no philosophy in this. And, oh god, how do I do this? How do I get into espionage here? Alright, as I'm just trying to set up my spies here, most importantly, before we get into the real action here. Starting off great. Oh lord. Okay, at least one of those two did succeed. And we're already underway with this HOLMGANG best of one in modern between Ztatiz and Lib, who was the one who issued the challenge. Ztatiz, of course, the one who picked modern as a mod, but Lib was willing to do it. So we'll see how that works out for him. This is a regular modern, so not C-Torn, meaning no city elimination, a pure 1v1 in regular modern with adjusted bombard, mainly for defensive bombard purposes, of course. Okay, and this is the map. You guys see pretty much everything that's relevant. I think there's no huge hidden stuff or anything on this map. We have Lib as Europe over there on the eastern part against Ztatiz as Australians on the western side here. Brussels already size 3, looking very nice. You can see he's coastal there too, whereas Ztatiz is not. He's just now planted his second one, whereas Lib apparently... Oh, he joined the settler. That's why he's size 3, didn't he? That would make a lot of sense here. Yep. Oh, no, I can't see his units anyways. But it seems so. I was gonna praise his great build, but of course, it's just me not knowing what the heck I'm talking about. Great, as always. I have a ton of units here, so that's probably part of what makes these turn timers so dang long. Let's disband a couple of them and see if I can speed this up anyway. Alright, we'll see if this will make it better eventually. Interesting. Now let's see what these guys chose for government with freedom for Australia and tradition for the European Union. Now, if I'm not completely mistaken, both of these governments are able to gold rush. So no pop slavers here. Again, unless my modern knowledge is just completely off, which is a very real possibility. That I won't disregard that. And interesting, looks like, oh god, a pop over here for Lib. That strategy might have paid off here in joining the initial settler, because now after the pop, he's ahead again in terms of growth, albeit that city is probably not great, but still gets that pop. And he also went for a second explorer, which was very surprising for me. But we'll see if it ends up paying off for him sooner or later. Of course, so one thing that I haven't mentioned yet is both these guys can take a free out of war from me one time during this game. So we'll see when that will come in. They'll of course be able to let me know when they want that, and I'll be more than willing to accommodate in that issue. Alright then. A much anticipated matchup here. Lib's second HOLMGANG. Remember, the first one was also a challenge that he issued. Got fended off by Ironclad in QC, however. So he's now trying to regain some self-esteem here, I assume, by challenging another member of the community there. Of course, modern a rather surprising choice, and probably not one that he's even less content with than the QC one against Ironclad. But in any case, both these guys know this mod better than I do, so at least there's that, right? Same thing as in the QC HOLMGANG. I'm not gonna be the most knowledgeable caster, excuse me, in those regards. but we'll get there, guys. We'll figure it out along the way, of course. These are mainly supposed to be competition between two guys, so I can't ruin that aspect in any case. We'll always get to see the juicy drama unfold live on the screen in front of our eyes. Alright, both these folks are having scouted the wing parts of the map, the ones that are pretty much exclusively available to them. Nobody went equality here, so they aren't running they aren't running the risk of getting their reds stolen sneakily by some airdropping settlers. Now I'm thinking about trying again for my spy on Lib. I think I'll do that next turn or something. Well, we'll see. I don't want to rush it, but then again, I'm of course always interested in what these guys are building. So far we can see Australia only buildings so far, no additional units, workers, settlers, anything of that sort. I don't know the typical tradition or freedom builds, but let me actually pull up my cheat sheet here. I'll announce the stream beginning real quick. Oops. I'll announce the stream being live here in a second in the Discord. I hope I won't match any of the action. Alright, give me just a second here to finish that off. And I need the link to my stream, of course, as well. I got them a little bit slow here. And same thing for the Steam group, although I'll check if there's anything I've missed in the meantime. Both of these folks size 4 right here. Again, no units coming out here yet for either side other than that second Explorer, of course, that was made by Lib a couple of turns ago. He's got his pop, and at this point none of these folks can pop anymore because I'm of course only on one city, so that kind of ruins it for them unless one of these guys plants a city first. That enables the other one to then follow suit with a pop if everything goes ideal for them. Alright, now I'll also drop the link in the Steam group. Here we go. There we go. We've got the folks coming in the stream, of course, again in a 15-minute delay, so I won't be able to respond to your chat messages verbally. I can sometimes tap out, however, and chime in on whatever you guys are saying. Alrighty then, 12 minutes in this game already. Time has flown by as I got partially distracted at times. We see Lib, actually the first one to make a settler here. Gets that one out of Brussels, another coastal, it seems like is what he's gonna go for with that cattle over here. I agree with the choice on some fresh water. It's just a very pleasant city to have in general. He's also apparently working on hooking that oil rather early there. It seems right outside of Brussels there is what he's apparently going for. Now let me check if I can finally get that spy out on Europe. Yep, okay, that's neat. So I can always keep tabs on what these guys are doing exactly. On the Australian side, we have Canberra at size 5 without any workers or settlers having come out yet. I'm wondering if he's just gonna go straight for drafting, but he's not gonna boat rush anyone here, so yeah, I guess he's just prioritizing his buildings right now. Let me put up my cheat sheet, as I said, with yeah, so that I can at least look up a little bit of what's going on for these guys. Canberra size 6, yeah, so he's really growing quickly to that drafting size. And you can also now probably see here in the F11 screen, oh no, actually Milan doesn't show up there, so he couldn't tell, but he might have scouted the area already anyways, so that wouldn't matter then. A little bit unfortunate is the color scheme that was chosen by these two guys here, live as the Europeans. Just a tad brighter color than the dark blue Australians that Ironclad usually likes to play as in Modern. I know that much. I like the color as well, but it's just a little bit confusing here with the two only players choosing two colors that aren't very well distinguishable, I would say. Interesting strategy. The double explosion, something I typically see in Modern, albeit my limited experience with the mod. But yeah, maybe he got another HUD or two, and he did get his pop, so I'm not going to complain about that. It looks pretty decent. Okay, so what we're saying is that the Australians here, they were the ones picking freedom, exactly. And freedom, what you want to get is, I mean, I guess just the market trees. You just straight rushing down the market tree and spamming gold. I wouldn't have thought that freedom is really that great a civ in a 1v1, because that's the civ that you really want to rush, as I said, that market tree, and you can gold rush, so you can put that gold to good use. But of course, if you're the only one, well, that sounds a little bit weird. In Modern, you're always teching for yourself, right? But um, if you have to do all the teching that you need and you still want to get value out of these buildings, that can be tricky. So I wouldn't have naturally thought that freedom would have been a government to pick in the 1v1. Apparently, Ztatiz is not too concerned about that. Chooses it anyways, and it seems like he's got a couple of buildings out in that cap. In fact, let's just embassy him here and see what he's got. Yep, market and bank already, and he's going for the stock exchange. So exactly as I said, he's just getting that tree rushed out, and it looks like he did end up popping in the end. And look at this, this is a way nicer pop than the one that Lib got up here. It's quite a bit later than his, but other than just barely missing out on that freshwater, it's a real nice city. If he gets a border expand here eventually, that could be pretty great. And Lib might not actually know about that yet. He might not have scouted the area all the way until into that corner. So could be a surprise factor as well, is pulling a potential boating play onto a non-suspecting Lib who probably doesn't expect you to have any coastal cities just yet. Another draft probably gonna come out of Canberra here soon. Whereas Lib is on surprisingly low population here himself. Look at this, size 4 Brussels. He's got a couple of workers, so we can clearly tell what all that population went into. He's got 3 extra workers, as a matter of fact. 1 out of Vienna here, of course, that doesn't need to get taken into account. But yeah, let's talk about what Lib's doing here real quick. He's getting cities and workers out, so he's not working on buildings that much. Being tradition, of course, that is typically the temple cathedral tree, and it looks like it doesn't prioritize that very early. Now, you don't typically need temples in any mod if you don't have high population cities, so you don't really need to build them early if you're just gonna make workers anyways, right? My worry is that you might need to switch into wartime sooner or later, and then it might be too late to get your buildings up. So I typically prefer Ztatiz's approach here, albeit him having a little bit of a more, well, surprising government choice here for a 1v1. I would have thought that the heavy happiness providing temples and cathedrals here from tradition would be the more typical 1v1 choice, since you can draft a lot more with those. At least this, I don't know the numbers there. Maybe the stock exchange is just so OP that it allows you to draft infinite amounts anyways, but I would have thought that just in general, tradition is a little bit of an advantage there. Now the clear theme is we have status, big buildings in those cities, high pop cities, decently improved land already. And then we have Lib on the other side, who's got lower pop in these cities. He's got about the same amount of tiles improved despite having that many more workers. His only real edge is that he's got that oil hooked already, which of course Ztatiz knows since he's also scouted that land. So he can make adjustments now. He's got to see that coming. If Lib ended up doing anything with that oil, and most prominently, of course, bombers, as you can see, requiring oil, but of course, those support ships as well, not carriers, interestingly, which require iron, which doesn't look like Lib's gonna get that here anytime soon. I think all the iron is in this western part, so carriers aren't probably gonna be a play here. That's not all that problematic for him though, since I think Canberra is in bombing range from Brussels. Let me check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep, exactly. So he can bomb cap to cap. It's not all that bad to miss out on carriers here on this rather small map anyways. Alright, we have Ztatiz actually with an interesting play over here that I also didn't anticipate. He's just walking a tower, excuse me, on over there. Lib now adjusting his explorer. He might get captured if he's not paying attention, but there he goes. Pulls out of there right on time and saves that unit, which of course he has 2 of anyways. And now he's got to make sure to get a couple of drafts out at least. You don't want to get ran over by these barbs. Got to protect those workers. And you also now know that Ztatiz got a Tau draft in the area, so you want to protect that oil colony, excuse me, if at all possible. I wonder if Ztatiz is going to be able to give Lib any trouble with that. Nobody has contacted me so far for an out of war. Again, just to reiterate, both these players have a one-time opportunity in this game to get an out of war from me when they so choose, although nobody has elected to make use of that option just yet. Lib still roading on over there. Vienna, just a rather useless city on the northern part of this land. It's just free workers, I guess, so you're not gonna complain about it, but it's not getting any special rest from up there or anything. And thus, I think I'd much prefer Ztatiz's pop in this rather juicy area over there, at least with a border expand. Rather productive coastal city, I would assume. Nice little offshore in there. Should feel pretty good. Lib, interestingly, having pulled both explorers over here, I wonder what his idea is. Because why would you want to stack explorers? And that's just a waste of potential vision, isn't it? Isn't it? Let's see what he's gonna do with those. Now finally gets his first draft out as well. I wonder if Ztatiz is still keeping on drafting. He's gotten another settler out of Sydney now. So he's gonna get his first real city build. And it looks like he's gonna plant it a little bit forwards here, which again will make it, well, bombable for Lib. He's gonna get those luxuries potentially, but I wonder, maybe he just wants another one on freshwater, and that's why he prioritizes this spot over here. Doesn't get any rest from it, at least not immediately. So I don't think that's a great spot. I don't have any great alternatives though. Maybe something like this could have been better on freshwater with the wheat as well. But again, I'm not all that confident in that recommendation. It's just a single draft yet for Lib, and that means that this oil colony it's got to be reinforced, especially with the barbs coming from up north eventually. Let's hope he's not given it all that much trouble early on. As it seems Ztatiz has ceased the drafting himself. How many units has he got then? Just the 2 towers, alright, so he's playing on minimal draft so far, which makes sense to me, since he's got that those commercial buildings, and you really want to maximize that effect by by using as little luxury or science slider as possible in order to maximize the commerce bonus, of course, just like markets tend to work. Another draft for Lib, finally out of Brussels. That's his second one, I believe. Exactly. Gave up 1 worker to get that oil colony earlier, as we saw. Now he's got to make sure to hold on to it, as he's also improving his land and hooking some more rest. This is, of course, is zinc. I'm not sure exactly about the resource or about the units that zinc unlocks, and much less about the combination with oil. Maybe we can figure something out real quick. I think infantry, yeah, infantry is zinc, and infantry is a pretty good unit, I'd say. 4, 8, and a 2 mover is quite nice there. Can't complain about that. Any other options? Again, I wouldn't know off the top of my head, but I'm sure that there are some decent combinations with oil, maybe. Um, I just am not really aware. And we saw that the tank, for example, a 3-move unit, zinc and uranium, so he was able to get some Euro 2. That could then make for a decent combination. Doesn't look like he's got Euro close. There's just these two on the map, I think. So yeah, doesn't look all that likely. We'll see what these guys will make of it, though. I'm sure they've got some plans for their own respective builds already. Oil hook, they were very early by Europe. I'm still surprised that he went for that so early and gave up a worker rather early as well to make sure he got it. There comes Ztatiz with the double move. Lib is able to bait the hit out of him and gets a good roll here, gets the promotion out of it too. And that is, of course, a bad trade for Australia, which is now left with only that one draft which they have. Lib is definitely strong to him now in terms of military advisor. Maybe he can use that knowledge that he's getting from that, if he checks the advisor, that is, to play accordingly. He knows that Ztatiz is going for a heavy build here without drafting anything more than he desperately needs. I think his king has also been spotted here near Sydney, so you definitely don't want to get caught off guard here now. No carrier for Lib makes this a little bit safer, but again, you gotta make sure to get those units back home before Lib gets those bombers onto you. Lib himself stay with a relatively safe king there. I think Marines are sulfur in this mode. I'm not quite sure where they come. Oh, just down here. All right. Yep, they are sulfur. So what looks like gold on the map here is the resource that gives you Marines. Looks like there's only one, two. Oh, interesting. So Brussels is planted on sulfur. I hadn't seen that. Lib already with 3 units super early on, and he's got sulfur in his capital, meaning he has been able to make Marines all along here. Probably able to also threaten Ztatiz with that will deter the Australians from planting any weak coastal cities. And there we go, just as we spoke of it. Check this out. They've got sulfur underneath Brussels again, and that's 3 resources hooked for him already. That's already probably endless combinations of units that I don't know, but we gotta keep track of those, right? So, or zinc, oil, and sulfur there for the Europeans. And Ztatiz, meanwhile, he's gotten those buildings up, but he doesn't have any res hooked just yet. So he's got to make sure not to be caught out before he gets his own military production going, right? So for the time being, that's not an issue, but when it comes to battle, you definitely want to have the option of getting the adequate units out that you need in order to defend yourself, whichever those might end up being. We have seen Australia overtake Europe in terms of score here, simply due to having more cities and the bigger land area for a while now. And that's a draft over here. Interesting, the infantry draft. I forgot about that, but right, you can draft 2 movers here in modern if you've got the adequate resources. And there we go, that draft is going to be put to use immediately in securing a 3rd explorer and one free of charge for Lib's Europeans. He's going to be very happy with that infantry draft that he just got. I wonder if he knew that he would get an infantry if he drafted there. Rather intelligent play, it seems. Marines also being sent out now. I wonder if he checked the military advisor and realized that he's strong to Australia and is now just doing the same thing as Ztatiz did to him, namely sending those units marching on over to his opponent. The way isn't all that long, and really you're forcing your opponent to draft a little bit more, and he doesn't have any explorers, so he doesn't even know what's coming here necessarily. We'll see how Ztatiz ends up responding to that. Still, I don't think. Oh no, never mind. Oh well, that's Europe. No, no more units for him. He's just made workers and buildings so far. Interesting there. Gotta make sure not to get overrun. Remember, he knows that there's two movers coming out of Brussels, and he's also keeping track of Lib's drafts, I'm pretty sure, right? So that's the second infantry drafted in Brussels. That's two movers that you gotta deal with potentially that might be headed your way. What's a transport? Transport is also Lib could even afford transport, which is a pretty quick way of getting on over to Australia. And if he just puts, let's say, two infantry drafts on a transport, it could already become very costly for Ztatiz's Australians here. He's just behind on res early on here, although he is building much more, well, greedily, I would say. So that will pay off if he can stave off the early aggression here from Europe. I'm not gonna criticize that all that much. Oh God. All right. Oh God, I'm so sorry. I haven't kept up with the chat so far, and there's a lot of text there to catch up on now. Again, this is not my strongest suit, this mod, I have to admit. So it is a bit tough to follow along with the gameplay itself already. Anyways, look at that. Milan is not in the greatest shape, which is a bit unfortunate there. All right. We have Milan building here. Sadly, my emote, I have commissioned an emote, or not commissioned, I made one, but Twitch hasn't accepted it yet. I made an emote of a burning cap, so that's gonna be very useful, I imagine, in the near future in those Civ streams here, no matter if it's me streaming my own gameplay or these tourney streams, because there's always cities burning, and just like in this situation. Thank you, Lip, for the colorful illustration of my point there. And we didn't see that immediately, but it looks like that's going to be a fourth resource hooked pretty soon here, within 2 turns or so, by Lib Europe. And again, I'm sorry, I just don't know all the units that can be made with all these 4 units. But if you know more in the audience, you can draw your own conclusions from this. I know that this is cruises at the very least, and cruises are adjusted for the low player number in this game. So that means your your cruises, excuse me, are definitely a real option here. What's nuke subs? That's uranium. All right, so sub cruises aren't really on the table, I don't think, but still, cruises are another weapon that Ztatiz has got to factor in now. He has been building, and I'll check out the cities again this turn, I think, since there's no fighting that's going to be taking place here. But hold that thought, never mind actually. That's a bombing run intercepted by this mobile SAM, and we can see that Ztatiz got lucky here and got the roll, so that bomber should be shot down by now. Yep, no more area units here from Lib, so good job on Ztatiz making that one preemptively. I don't think Lib had gotten a successful bombing run through before that Sam was out. Let's investigate Canberra again real quick. What do we have in there? The market tree as we thought, and a factory as well. I didn't know that he went for the factory too, but that's 34 shields per turn cap right now. Pretty decent. He just doesn't have the res yet to produce much with that. Now I'll also investigate Brussels on the other side to get a sense of what Lib's got. He's got his cathedral tree, a library on top of it, just because he's been drafting a ton. We can see he's on 30% happiness slider nonetheless, and his city is just barely not disordering. So he's gonna struggle a little bit to keep the money intact and tech a lot more. Remember, I showed you all these great res that he has, but that still doesn't mean he can get all those units, because you need the tax as well in modern. And I don't think he's gonna be able to get tax for 4 or 5 different units here. He's really Got to prioritize what he wants. We saw that he got fighters, so he definitely has munitions, and I think he's got explosives as well, because otherwise he wouldn't have gotten that bombing run off onto that SAM, I don't think. Now we see the fighter in Milan here. Maybe fighters is what he's prioritizing for now, trying to catch a naked king potentially from Ztatiz. He's removed that king back into his capital though, I think, so at least for the time being, not all that dangerous. He's also managed to secure that one-tile land bridge at least, which is a good job on his part. That could prove rather crucial in the end when it goes for his push through here. Again, I like his attempt, sending a couple of units on over and forcing Ztatiz to get more drafts out. He has been refusing to draft a lot. I think he only drafted it one more time here. Oh no, he's got 4 partisans by now. Alright, so he is doing his due diligence here and respecting the units as well as the air support by Europe that could mess up his land rather badly. Aluminum hook now for him as well. I don't think he's got that harbor connection yet though, so he can't access those rests just yet. Gotta make sure to get those harbors out if he wants to do much with those anytime soon. I wonder what Lip's gonna do up here now. Is he just gonna try to bomb through those maybe and then move on in with his stack? That would be a huge victory if he got through there. I don't think he's got the firepower necessary to break through just yet though. So it's probably just gonna stack up a couple more units and maybe another bomber or two to try to attempt and break through. We can see right here the only plane that he's got right now is a fighter, so maybe he doesn't even have that bombing tech yet. Maybe a fighter is all that he had earlier as well. Again, I don't have that intel. It looks like Ztatiz might have dropped here though. Again, I think this was a city screen bombing run in 920 AD. Most likely to have been a city screen bombing. So we will see. I'll make sure. Okay, we confirmed that that was indeed what was going on. Oh god. There we go. The reload screen is up. I've had this all prepared for a while, so at least it's not as scuffed today. Ooh. Interesting. So we're going to get that reload ready. Turn 20 it was, and we'll see what these guys choose to do in regards to yeah, how to replay that turn. Alright, give me that a second to reload here, as I've rebooted Steam, as is tradition. Okay, there we go. Yeah, people were wondering about that early oil from Lib, and I definitely do agree that it was too early for ideal gameplay, but we'll see. We've got an intruder in our lobby. Oh no. Oh no. What do we do about that? Do I have to boot here? I hate to do that. I would hate to. I'll give him a couple more seconds. I don't want to be that mean. Oh, there he goes. All right. Thank you very much. And that reload is going to be on the way very soon. We're already in the second screen. So we'll get there. Turn 20 was the one we crashed on. Wait, what? Oh, 20. 20. That's okay. Looks like we're getting back in here. Swade suggesting a radar artillery play or a convoy. That's interesting. He does have the coal, so definitely a possibility here for Ztatiz. I don't know, red artillery is iron, I'm pretty sure, and I love that unit in future, so I agree, I would like to see it here too. We're back on the way for turn 20 here, and you can see the frontiers are set still. Oh god, lost tech it looks like. Very unfortunate. Due to his own bombing here, gets screwed out of his tech. I hope we can somehow look past that. At least that's not a host fuck up this time around. So for once I'm not the one to blame. Okay. Now let's check, just cause Swade asked earlier. Let's spy Sydney 2 to see what he's got in that city. Just the granary. Alright, no builds in here. Just used it for that settler spell, I assume so. Yeah. Granary is all he's got in there. Is there any bombing going on? Looks like well, must have done something. I didn't catch it, unfortunately. But again, Ztatiz is rather empty at home. I do worry a bit. If Lib was able to break through anywhere, that could, or that would be disastrous for Stat for sure. And just the mere opportunity for Lib to bomb out his buildings. Maybe Ztatiz actually had more buildings than Sydney, but got bombed out. I don't think the bombing range is far enough for that. We counted it earlier, so no, I don't think bombing could have been a factor in Sydney. But still, right, you want to get some protection up here, and there we go. A regular Tau is a good start in that direction. Still, I think Perth is a rather aggressive plant here. So far forward, 3 tiles away. Can't protect those frontline workers as well. I'm curious as to why he chose to work those tiles exactly in that direction. Again, not at all prioritizing that rest. Again, I guess he's roading around that jungle, so he's gonna get to that coal next turn. So maybe that actually was the quickest way to get those rests. I'm not exactly sure about that. So I don't want to condemn it really. Doesn't look like he's got harbors up yet, I don't think. Whew. Alright, now let's see. Does Lib have any new planes? Ooh, look at this! There we go. He's utilizing a wide array of weaponry now. My best guess is still that he would potentially try and look to break through here, maybe bomb these towers out and get through the northern passage into Australian land, but we'll see what exactly he opts for. He's got options at this point. And again, Brussels still size 6. I wonder how long he's going to be able to keep that tech up, because he must have a lot of happiness problems by now. I imagine he went to Colosseum in Brussels as well, maybe, just to get more drived out, but he's got a ton of infantry already walking around here, and those are 2 movers, remember. So if by any means he's able to break through. There he goes. It looks like he just hit into that tau stack. Wasn't successful in the end, so Ztatiz able to withstand that. A bombing run coming in as well, it seems, is now finally a veteran tower, reinforces that northern land bridge, and Ztatiz gets good rolls all around. Look at this, he's also gained control down in the south, and that's a big momentum swing. All the land units that Ztatiz has got on him forwards are these three infantry drafts. That means Ztatiz has bought himself some time. He's now also hooked that coal that was in jeopardy for a short while here, as Lib's infantry came on in from the south. And Ztatiz is definitely going to be happy with those rolls that he's gotten here. Look at this. He's now, for the time being, again, completely safe at home. And Lib is got to build stuff back up. And he's just so far behind in terms of production. If you just add up the total number of citizens, we have 14 over here for Europe. And yeah, Ztatiz already has more than that in his two main cities. So he's out producing, he's got the better buildings. At least more gold is something I'm sure he has. And now he's also taken back the strategically important positions here. So what he's got to make sure not to fall victim to is any naval place that Lib can, of course, launch. He's got all his cities in coastal spots, as well as another attack from Lib's broad-ass arsenal here. Looks like Milan is now also a effective drafting city for him, so maybe I actually overestimated the toll that those drafts had taken on Brussels so far. But in any case, Ztatiz can't get complacent. They gotta make sure to think about all the options of what Lib has and what he could launch to you. I don't think Ztatiz knows yet that Lib has that alu colony down behind there. Don't think Lib, or yeah, I don't think Lib was ever explored that deep. So maybe that's a surprise that he still has in his back pocket that Ztatiz isn't really familiar with yet. He's getting those veteran towers per turn in Canberra now, so I think it's increasingly unlikely for Lib to be able to break through to Australia's capital that way. We see now, there we go, a play is being prepared by the Europeans. I do like that move. I think there's probably, yep, two of them are on that ship, and as I said earlier, if you just get a couple of infantries on a boat, that can already wreak havoc in enemy cities, especially in the back line. And if nothing else, maybe just take a few workers, cut a few roads, pillage some improvements, and distract them from the front lines. But this is by no means an easy play to fend off from Ztatiz if he's committing a lot of units to stop Lib's breakthrough on the frontiers. In terms of units, Lib just keeps on drafting those infantries. Look at this, folks. That's 10 two-move units that he's got available to him. I would like to see him pressure Ztatiz a little bit more with those. Would like to see him send a couple more around south so that Ztatiz is forced to spread his units out more, especially since he can't easily reinforce the southern border in one turn from his capital. He doesn't have the rails needed in order to do that. In case you didn't know, you can't just rail in modern with those rests. You need to get the tech alloys as well, so that's not going to be on the table anytime soon, excuse me. They're also making sure to explore the south. Maybe that alerts Ztatiz of any potential attack from the south. Again, I would really like to see Lib also actually invest some units in there to make sure Ztatiz is being pressured on all fronts. Right now, he's not having the most difficult time to protect all his stuff, but we'll see. In terms of units, he's still got those two mobile SAMs that we saw earlier. He's got 5 partisans, so I mentioned that's those 2 drafts that he had, and then the veterans that he's made by now, and 7 workers on the other side. For Europe, of course, he's got his boat, and other than that, he's not got that much more. 2 partisan drafts are left over, and of course, his tons of infantry. Okay, I think I'll go for another city investigation of Canberra, potentially next turn actually, just to see what he's got in there by now. And same thing for Brussels. That's what I'm looking to do in next turn. I wonder when these folks are gonna take the out of wars, but I don't think I don't think they're in wartime yet, or for a long time at least. I think both, especially Ztatiz, might have just entered, whereas Lib might have been in there for a little bit longer, as he's been producing military units for quite a while. So maybe he might need an out of war soon. Bottom line is, I don't want to miss it if those guys actually need one, so not to hinder their gameplay on that front. Let's see what Lib can do to pressure. I like this. Again, he's now gotten a marine, at least one of them, or an infantry rather, through on the southern part of that lake. He's going to be able to pillage that coal colony, at least in case or Ztatiz doesn't respond. Doesn't look like he's gonna, but that barb could screw him up. I don't think. Oh, look at it. Oh my. That's just, I mean, gets screwed by the timing here. Moves back onto the tile. I'm not sure that was the smartest move there. Got 8 defense on that unit, but why not keep it in more safe terrain and have it heal back up? Not sure I like that move all that much, but Ztatiz probably figures that Lib might have more coming down south here. And as that barb fight concludes, Ztatiz emerges victorious in a sense, but he's got to make sure to hold on to that coal colony as well, which is, of course, the most important objective of that southern fight. He really reinforces Perth. I think he's expecting more infantry to come on through there. Now, again, I promised you guys some city investigations. What do we have over there? Canberra. Oh, we got a barracks, nothing else in terms of buildings, and not a lot of units in there, so that city isn't even that well protected. 42 shields per turn is a little bit of a waste even on partisans. I'm not sure I like that all that much. And Brussels isn't all that important for now. He's only got 5 pop since he made that settler that he sent up north. But now let's focus on what's gonna go on towards the end of this turn in Ztatiz's land. That's where the action is at right now. And I want to see what Lib's gonna be able to make happen there. What's he gonna be able to do with that infantry? Is he gonna be able to at least take that coal? Is he able to get a pillage off there? Either one would surprise me, since Ztatiz is probably just gonna move in with the Tau in time before Lib can get that move off. But we'll see. As the turn ends, there we go. Ztatiz with a really quick move there gets that infantry taken out. Lib still reinforcing that northern land bridge area, and it seems like that's artillery actually out of Sydney now, firing from Canberra onto Lib's stag, and we see it's slowly but surely gonna chip away at those infantry. And with a couple more arties there, maybe 1 or 2 more, you're gonna be able to clear that stack up rather easily. No defensive bombard on these units anyways. So honestly, you might just attack with a 4 HP Tau, or a partisan as it's called in modern. A 4 HP partisan into that conscript infantry is pretty much a favorable trade in terms of, it is a likely trade in terms of winning the combat. You decide whether it's favorable or not, because still a 4 HP partisan is 1 whole turn of production in your capital, so you might not want to necessarily waste that. And look at this, there we go. That's something that Swade suggested earlier as well. Ztatiz now with the buildings up and running, with a lot of commerce flowing into his coffers, as well as the rest. Finally he's gonna be able to send some stuff out. I wonder what he's got in there. I don't know yet. It looks like just some partisans most likely, but those convoys tend to wreak some havoc. More importantly though, is Lib gonna be moving in with his galleon end of turn? A troop ship is the proper name. Is he gonna be able to launch onto Canberra here potentially? Because that could already end up netting him a kill. He unloads in an unseen location. This could very well be an early conclusion to this Holmgang. Ztatiz has gotta hang on for dear life here. Is Lib gonna fire immediately? We'll see how well these cruises have been balanced. Oh lord, Canberra is gonna be under fire soon here. Lib not firing just yet, but he could be doing so any second without us really getting a notice in advance. Looks like he's holding back for now. I wonder what Ztatiz's agenda is right now. He's probably focusing on that convoy. Lib not firing yet. I wonder what he's thinking about, what he's going for. Maybe he's still reconning with his fighter to try and figure out what the most effective target could be. I wonder how this is gonna go through here. 2 cruisers available, and Canberra still not that well defended as we checked last turn or so. There's definitely a possibility of Ztatiz dying here. The troop ship goes back home, but no cruisers being fired just yet. Does he want to bring some more? There he goes. He wakes up his units. Maybe he's looking to move in the infantry alongside his cruise strike. Not sure that's necessary, but it's a good idea actually, since he is in double move range. That could cause total destruction in Ztatiz's land, as he's able to double move onto Brisbane, Sydney, as well as Canberra. But Canberra, of course, the most important of those objectives. Let's see if Lib's hands can beat Ztatiz's brain here, as he is gonna orchestrate a future-esque play here with 2 movers alongside cruisers. Is he gonna go for the end of turn hit? I really don't know. Maybe he's gonna move in and strike with cruisers start of next. We'll see how he chooses to do it. And there he goes. 2 infantry coming in. It's actually 4 of them. I miscounted that. What's that is going to do? I think he just dropped it. There goes the first cruise. There goes the second one. I think he fired all onto Sydney, and he moves in now. That was a very fortunate choice for Ztatiz's part, because he could have lost a lot in Canberra here. He's now putting a lot of stuff onto Sydney, but he's not breaking through just yet. He's sending more partisans in, and Lib still has a couple of infantry available. He's going for another reinforce, and he might just hold on to Sydney for this turn. I would be surprised if he managed to do so, but Ztatiz definitely escaped with a short moment of well, panic there, I would say, because that could have been game over if Canberra was actually struck. He ends up surviving that infantry move, and he gets Sydney back pretty soon here, I would imagine. There's not a lot left in that city, at least. Lib's now forced to move that last healthy infantry unit in. But with another artillery out of Perth, as we can see right now, Ztatiz shouldn't have any troubles cleaning that up. And he didn't even have a lot of units in Sydney anyways, or rather, excuse me, a lot of buildings. So yeah, that is what it is, I guess. You can't you don't lose that much. He gets off pretty much unscathed here. Another round of troop ship units are going to be ferried in. Do we know what he's got on there? Looks like just more infantry drafts, if I had to guess. Still got his allo, but it looks like he decided against making more cruises. And let's keep tabs on that convoy. I think he could be moving end of turn, and that's disaster for Lib if this convoy strikes anytime soon. Looks like Ztatiz. There he goes. He goes in with the convoy movement. Can Lib adjust? Brussels is completely empty right now, but he also sees the Naked King in Milan. He goes for capital instead, and that could be as much as game over. He comes back in with the convoy. He goes for the hit onto Milan now. Doesn't get the roll. Oh lord, that's fortunate. But there goes the next tower. He gets the kill onto the king. Lib very much surprised by the convoy movement, but good lord, that must have been fun. Lol, the clown car sweeps in and ends the HOLMGANG. Gives that victory over to Ztatiz, and wow, that was a real close one, folks. I really believe either side could have won this if Lib's cruise play had gone a little bit more fortunate, but it wasn't meant to be, and here we go. All hail the latest HOLMGANG champion, as Ztatiz takes the dub here with the convoy coming in. The clown car sweeping through. Sweeping through Lib's land, and he's very much confused. I hate that unit too. I can't deny that. It's some BS, but you know, It serves a purpose and it's pretty interesting in terms of tactics. It's just a total noob killer. And Lib was not up for the task here. Very much empty at home in the back line. And Ztatiz takes the dub. Congratulations to him. I appreciate Lib having taken that challenge in the first place. He's now 0-2 in HOLMGANGs, but you cannot accuse him of being cowardly. On the very contrary, he is the one issuing all these challenges, so he's gonna have to look to redeem himself another day. And Ztatiz is now 1-0 in HOLMGANGs himself, doing a good job in this one, and squeaking out a win here with a very interesting freedom build here in the 1v1, which isn't typically something that you see, but he didn't end up regretting it, I don't think. Thank you guys for joining me today. We've got at least 2 more HOLMGANGs lined up, in the next couple of days, as well as the first announcement for the next MPT event that I'm gonna host, all coming up within the next couple of days. I'm glad you guys decided to join me today. Congrats to Ztatiz once again, and I'll see you guys for the next one. 4 a.m. Get the fuck out. Oh god.